adapt to the patient case. And in the center of Paris, you have the center of Paris here. There is my unit. My unit is exactly in the middle of the target, and 4 other units. And we have also fire brigade officer, and they have medical officers that work with us. This is called the Little Crown. This is clearly the center of the region, the center of the area, and we serve only in these 4 places 7 million inhabitants. Disaster medicine is part of the training of EMS physicians in France. And for hospital care, we have a module, we have a training program for mass casualties. And all the physicians, all the technicians, they have this program. They are able to do basic things if there is a mass casualties. And you are aware of that. They know how to deal with what we call a limited catastrophic accident. What is a limited catastrophic accident? That means you have a lot of victims as compared to everyday practice, but it's not 1,000, it's more than 100, 150 sometimes. And this is exactly what we have every year in France. We have 10 accidents like that, so all the EMS system in France is trained and used to be in front of this format of small disaster. And for that, the system we have is quite simple. We send our team on scene, and we set on scene what we call an advanced medical post. The advanced medical post is the place where you gather the victims, you triage them, and if it is needed, you give emergency care, life-threatening measure only. And this is quite simple because the EMS can provide expertise on scene, the physician, but also the officers and the triage. And we work together with the fire brigade to do that. Our system is very simple also for triaging. We don't use the star. We use something more simple. We made absolute emergency, relative emergency. Absolute emergency means you need a medical team and you need care immediately. The others can wait a little. And this is basically what we do, and the aim, anytime we can, is to transform an acute emergency in a relative emergency, if it is possible. So when we are in front of mass casualties but limited condition, what we do is also quite simple. On site, we have the mass gathering point, you have the advanced medical post, and we create something that we call shuttles. A shuttle that takes the victims to the advanced medical post, and a shuttle that takes the victims to all the hospitals that have been mobilized to take care of the patient. And this works very well, and we have used that for more than 35 years in hundreds of limited catastrophic accidents. We have also at the same time a plan for hospital, which is the mass casualty plan for the hospital. It's considered to be the second defense line in front of a mass casualties, because if you share the victim to various hospitals and every hospital receives 5 to 10 victims, it's not a mass casualties in hospital. It's a little more than everyday practice. But if one hospital receives many casualties, in that case, he has a second line, which is the white plan. And the white plan is probably what you have in your hospitals. It's making the possibility to receive unnoticed a lot of patients and to deal with surgical emergency or any other kind of emergency. This is part of the national requirement for hospital. So everybody has to work on that and to do a drill once a year, sometimes. We also have decided in France that everything that was related to rescue and to healthcare has to be, in case of mass casualty, clearly well connected. And in the past we had problems in connection, so they decide that there will be only one strategy, which is called ORSEC, that means Organization of Health, and ORSAN, Organization of Health, and the work together share the burden of the mass casualties, and we have worked in making this simple. Ministry of Health and Ministry of the Interior for the first time has worked to do something more adapt to taking care of mass casualties. In Paris, 20 years ago, we had already terrorist attack. You don't remember that, but I was already there, a little younger anyway. But we had bombings. We had several bombings with about 250 victims, and it was mainly in train, underground station, and it was low energy improvised bombs. But in place, let's say close place, he may enjoy a lot. And we observe that we have several absolute emergency and a lot of relative emergency. The last of this terrorist attack was in '96, and you see on the photo my car was the first on scene. We have that night 70 victims, and 17 hospitals received the casualties. And when we make the after check of this night, we observe that we were 400 rescuers and physicians on scene. So this is not a mass casualty, it's a mass rescuer gathering. But things have changed. And we know now that mass casualties can really happen. It happens in New York, it happens in Madrid, London, and also in Mumbai. I came back later to Mumbai because Mumbai was for us a nightmare. It was also assessed that improvised bombing may be replaced by very lethal weapons, including the old one, Kalashnikov, AK-47, 70 years old, but still a machine created to kill, and it can be used in many places, in Europe also, where firearms becomes available, which is quite a surprise for us. I come back to Mumbai to explain to you that both can be mixed. In Mumbai in 2008, 10 terrorist commandos attacked 10 sites, including a railway station, luxury hotel, restaurant, but also hospital and police station. And these terrorists, for 3 days, combat the police forces, and they made 200 dead and about 300 injured people. And Mumbai is not an exotic place. We have our friend from India here. He will explain you that the hospitals in Mumbai are top international level, and the EMS system is also international level. It may happen to Mumbai and it may happen to us. My point is now to explain that this scenario is not at all what you think. Terrorism is a human activity. It's something made by man to kill, to injure, to create fear, if possible, panic. The terrorists know very well their job. They learn every day. Sometimes they live with us. And if you stay with your plan and say, I can deal with casualties, it's not enough. You have to oppose to this strategy another strategy, a strategy of care, and you have to develop it in a context where you have to apply this to very different types of scenario. So we, from '86, from the international experience, and we met with people that had already terrorist attack, the feeling that we had 2 points to improve quickly. The first point was improve per-hospital and in-hospital organization to mobilize enough people to deal with thousands of victims. And the second point was to adapt the care we had every day to injuries we don't see in France. That means injury created by assault rifles, military weapons. The first idea was then, early in 2006, to say we will create something that will mobilize the entire region. And that was done with the French Ministry of Interior and Health, and we spot the hospital, we spot the teams, and we make them together. For the EMTs, that are mostly fire brigade in Paris, they create what they call a Plan Red Alpha. Alpha means top of the plan. And the first version, they were able to send EMTs in order to cover about 10 sites at the same time in the Paris region. That's a lot. But for this, they have to keep also reserved and to limit the access to the site to a strict limited number of teams to be there. And for this, we had also the same idea to deal with massive casualties in the Paris region with the MICU. So we decide that we have to limit, if it is a multi-site terrorist attack, to limit the site, the presence of physicians, to 2 or 3 and no more than that. And then we wait for backup to improve the number of teams on scene. And we decide also that we have to share the French capital in sectors and affect the units to the sectors before in order to be prepared to react very quickly. And that was also the thinking of keeping reserved if one sector is not used, is not involved in terrorist attack. So we have done that 10 years ago, we have worked, and it was decided by government that my unit, the SAMU de Paris, was to coordinate the 7 others, and to coordinate a multi-site plan if it will occur. And when we make the drawings and things like that, it looks like a camembert. In English it's an apple pie, but the camembert is a French dish. So the physician said, well, we do the camembert, that means we share the capital because we are under and by. And this word has kept and was used the night of Friday, the 13th, as the camembert plan for physicians. The second point was the concept of damage control for civilian practice. What's the idea? Military teams and military physicians are used to deal with people injured by assault rifles and explosion, but they are not civilian. And the military service is organized to do that. So we have decided to look at what they do, and we looked how to transform this from military organization to civilian organization and to adapt the organization of care to this new kind for us of victims. We have done that, and we have published that in 2013, 2 years before we had a mass shooting in Paris, because we were at that time already very concerned about this possibility. And quickly I will explain what we do. You saw that we have exactly the same tourniquet that are used in the United States, that we can use also non-compressible hemorrhage system, that we limit volume loaded and the use of vasoconstrictor, and we don't care of the blood pressure. If the patient is conscious, it's enough. You don't need to take the blood pressure. The second point is that we use hemostatic agent. With physicians, it's not a problem to inject tranexamic acid. We have also a simplified airway management. It takes 60 seconds to intubate a patient, but if the patient has an injury of the chest, mechanical ventilation will need, you have to take care of this patient, and you don't have the time, you have too much patient. So we decide only that the enemy was tension pneumothorax and to give oxygen, and second time will be only endotracheal intubation. The 5th point is hypothermia and rewarming. As you know, this is a major problem for coagulation. And finally, we create a system that gives the possibility to go directly to the operating room. The physician in charge of the ICU can tell to the surgeon, this is a patient you have to open quickly. And they do it, we go directly to the entrance of the operating room. And if it is needed, the surgeon will provide damage control surgery with damage control resuscitation. And in fact, we have the free pre-hospital damage control on arrival and in operating room and in intensive care units. Then we have done that for pre-hospital care, and we train. And the scenario we've done in 2014 was not shooting at terraces of cafe. It was shooting in a railway station and in fast train. Not a bad scenario. It has been used after. But that was clearly what we work for, and we've done drills, and we have taken a lot of modification. And then, in the middle of this training, in January 2015, it happens the Charlie Hebdo shooting. Charlie Hebdo shooting was very special because it was a limited number of persons that were shot because they belonged to a cartoon journal, as you know. And we discovered a couple of things that we were not aware there. First, the problem was clearly the victims, and Kalashnikov increased quickly in a few seconds if you are injured in the chest or in the head. Second, the danger is not only on scene, it's during the getaway of the terrorists. And the terrorists, during the getaway, they can kill. They have killed one policeman, they have shot a lot of policemen, and one of our ambulances crossed the getaway of the terrorists. So we were aware of safety maybe will be a problem for us also. So we had the possibility to use our system. We have created this damage control pathway for the emergency that need to go to operating room. This has worked very well at that time. We were able, in a limited number of casualties, to take them in more or less than 20 minutes to the operating room. And for people with no blood pressure, bleeding a lot, it's a good solution. In fact, we have adapted what we had done before to this very special circumstances, which is no blood pressure on scene, go to the hospital. We had also a problem with the psychological management. We observed that terrorism was not disaster. Impact on population was very major as compared to, let's say, basically what is a disaster, and I'll come back later to that. The same week in January, we have for the first time 2 hostage standoff in Paris. That was the first time we have 2 terrorist attacks at the same time. And this was in the center of Paris and in the suburbs, about 40 kilometers of distance at the same time. This was for us the opportunity to test our system of sharing the burden of terrorist attack on various systems and various SAMU organizations. And we observed also that it was very difficult to extract victims, and under fire, the extraction of victims was not possible for EMS personnel. Only the SWAT EMTs and the SWAT physicians were able to go there and to act quickly under fire. But when they take the patient out, in 10 minutes or less, we were able to send the patient to the operating room. Why? Because the situation was controlled. Because there was clearly the hot zone, called the combat zone, the orange zone, and then the green zone. This was a fixed situation. We had the control of everything, there was police everywhere, and no risk for the physicians, the EMTs, and the MI3 teams. This is the way we organize, and you see the green arrow. You can then implement on scene your advanced medical post, and you're very near the extraction zone, but you are in a safe place. After that, we were quite satisfied of what we have done in January, and we thought about a lot of improvement. But the situation we have faced was another time different. And Friday, November 13th, I was watching TV, football game. French people like football. And at 9:20 p.m., I was back home for 30 minutes. Everything rang, all the system we have, saying there is a terrorist attack in the Stade de France, major stadium in Paris. And very clearly, it happens 10 minutes after, a second bomb, and a third team probably was already in Paris, and then opened fire on bar and restaurant. At that time, we are 10 minutes after the first shooting. It's quite difficult to have precise information, but all what we have decided to take as the sign of a multi-terrorist attack were there. So the alert was quickly shared to all services. It was confirmed by the medical team that were on the stadium, just nearby. In few minutes, the first site was spotted, and it was obvious for us that it was the terrorist attack we are fearing, and we don't know from that time what will be the evolution of the situation. Then, you observe the stars, the place where have you been. You see that Stade de France is not far away from Paris. It's from the center of Paris, 8 kilometers, for the border of the Paris city, the place I'm in charge, 1.5 kilometers. But one of the major points was to share the system, and you see the three division we made, the three portion of Camembert, the three sectors. The north, Stade de France is a little out of Paris, SAMU 93 was in charge. The center of Paris in the east, and the west not working. And we were very surprised that nothing happens in the west. Why east and north and not in the west? I will explain later that it was a good question. In the Stade de France, the bombings were quite simple, but to explain you what we did precisely, it's 1.5 kilometers away from Paris, but no team of the Paris city went there. Because we know it was a terrorist attack, probably multi-site at that time. So all the teams in Paris stay in Paris and look. And 10 minutes after, they were engaged to other terrorist sites of attack. That was important. That was a difficult decision. It was in the plan, but I have hesitated 2 minutes before taking it. The second point is look where the bombings were. It's not in the stadium, it's just an entrance of the stadium. The idea was simple. This pre-bomb, in fact, had exploded and created a very limited number of casualties. Why? Because in the stadium, the order was given not to evacuate. And what's clearly the contrary that is written in the plan. But the officer in charge of the security say, don't go out, they are attacking us, stay inside, we can protect you. And they have not stopped the game. They continue to play, and then at the end of the game, they gathered all the audience in the stadium and made they wait for 3 hours to be safe. So, in fact, this terrorist attack was a failure. It was clearly designed to kill the people by exploding bombs during the evacuation of the stadium. But one man, the guys in charge of the security at the gate H, was done only his job for $1,000 a month, or more than that. So you came out of the fight, boom, he exploded. And then all the things jammed for the terrorists, fortunately for us. In Paris, it was not the same. 10 minutes later, in Paris, in a perimeter that was 3 kilometers on 3 kilometers, 9 kilometers square, at the terraces of cafe, multiple shooting. You see on this map all the shooting that were done, but I will not go in detail in all these sites. I can give you an overview of that and the problems we met. First of all, we do what we were trying to do. We triage and we care the victim. This is a French triage type. It's a good one, simple to use, and you have bracelet and the possibility to give a lot of marks to all the stage of your management. We observe that the casualty on scene were already dead, even when we arrived in the 5 first minutes, because they were shot in the head or in the chest or multiple impact. On each side we have a fire brigade officer, a senior physician, and also the possibility to evacuate the victims. We have decided to evacuate the victim by group. This is difficult. You cannot make large groups. You can use group of 4 or 5 victims at the maximum, even if you take 2 by ambulance. The problem was also that the patient received triage tag, but we are unable to compute that on scene. We compute that later. Never mind, the triage tag itself is already a good thing. The care on scene was damage control as we planned, and we observed that the profile of absolute emergency patient was isolated penetrating chest wound or abdominal or inferior limbs injuries. Almost all the same. And if you see now the various site, I have chosen this one. This one is Rue Bichat, and it's a place where I've been first in the evening. The first place I was there. It's nearby Hôpital Saint-Louis. Hôpital Saint-Louis is not a trauma center. It's an old hospital, and this hospital is devoted to oncology and also to hematology. It's a wonderful place for that, but they are not dealing with major trauma. And in fact, they are a few meters from the place where there were shootings. And in the cafe nearby, there were a lot of physicians, medical students, nurses, and people. It's 9 p.m. on Friday night, the end of the week, and then they immediately take patients and take them by hand to the entrance of the hospital. And this hospital received casualties before anybody was aware we need a multi-site plan. In the few minutes, they arrived with medical personnel. The second point is also that you see the Hôpital Saint-Louis and the Petit Cambodge, the place that night, and the second site is Rue Charonne. It's 2 kilometers away from there, and it's also a few minutes away walking from Hôpital Saint-Antoine. Hôpital Saint-Antoine is a trauma center, level 2 trauma center, and they were small number of spontaneous casualties walking to the hospital, but it was possible for us to send the patient transport by stretcher or by ambulances to this hospital from the scene, and we know that they had the possibility to deal with orthopedics, and we had a lot of people injured with orthopedics, mostly relative emergency, but bleeding a lot as compared to what you can call relative emergency. Another point important in that scene was the fact that we observed that a lot of people were not injured, but they were absolutely terrified. They were in the street, they don't know where to go, and sometimes they decide to go to the emergency room of the nearest hospital. And for us, this is a nightmare, because if you have plenty of persons in the emergency room, you cannot deal with the patient that need care. So we decided as soon as possible that this patient will be sent to the nearest fire station. And we use the fire station as a shelter in order not to send this patient to the hospital. And that was great. The family of the firefighter that lives in the fire station give them coffee, tea, and take care of them all the night. We encountered in Paris a lot of problems on scene, and that was because we were in a very difficult and unsafe environment. Many patients were dead, but also many patients wounded tried to escape from the scene. And the violence was extreme. This is the scene. You see the dead, you see also the injured, and you see the public that don't know what to do. We observe also that the streets were quickly cordoned by the police, and they were shooting in the street. The white car, the small white car in the picture this corner left is my car when I arrive on scene. And what I see is first street cordoned by the police, second street cordoned by the army. And then when you arrive with your team, you say, where is the collecting point? And the police officer say, I don't know yet. And the army officer say, don't go there, doctor. It's dangerous. You stay here. And clearly, security and care of the patient were conflicting at that time because there was not the famous red zone. We are looking for the red zone. Tell me where is the red zone, so I don't go to red zone. In fact, you are the red zone. And the victims still are in the red zone. This happens exactly in the Bataclan site. Bataclan site is a small theater, 1,500 people at the same time. There was a concert that night, as you know. And in the Bataclan, the people were shot by 2 terrorists, and they stay in the Bataclan for 3 hours. And they kill a lot of people, taking their time, aiming the victims. And then several victims, all that can do it, had escaped. And even victims injured, they go out and they collapse in the street. And we observe that the victims have taken shelters in several places, including the one that we have called the victim nest. It's a small place between 2 buildings, and there many extremely severe casualties take cover there. We sent physicians there, we had the fire brigade EMTs there, and any times people were extracted during the combat in the 3 hours from the Bataclan, they went to this victim nest, and then they were evacuated or by ambulance or by stretcher to the 2 advanced medical posts we have set at 300 meters from the Bataclan scene. These are the places we set the advanced medical posts, so we don't use the TAP, but we use coffee shop. But basically the principle is the same. There is one for absolute emergency, one for relative emergency. You are inside the one that is for absolute emergency. You see that the ambulances are stacked correctly in the street nearby. And this is for relative emergency. We took a Japanese restaurant. We don't rely on foreign cooking. This is the only photo that has been done by a physician that night. We are not resting. This is inside the advanced medical post. And the order was clearly at 2 or 3 times in the evening, hit the ground, firing just nearby. And we received bullet impact. And we were 300 meters away from the site of shooting. Kalashnikov range is 800 meters. So a couple of times we have to take cover, and you see the victims, the EMTs, and the last are the physicians on the top. Mm-hmm. The Bataclan was clearly the case we have not prepared, because there was everything in it. Shooting, spontaneous extraction of numerous of very critical victims, group of people wounded scattered in the city, shelter zone difficult to assess, hostage taking, and still in progress, and the assault, and finally 3 kamikaze bombs at that time. All these things together, there was the possibility there to have more than 1,000 people injured at that time. And was clearly too much for what we have at that time available on this scene. We have already taken care of 6 other places in Paris. So we were very worried about that, and it was for us the possibility to have more people involved and received even backup from out of the Paris region. The Bataclan was characterized by the flexibility, by the fact we have adapted the plan, that we also keep immediately all the teams ready, and all the teams that have taken patients to the hospital were re-injected to the scene with another task in the Bataclan, and that was clearly something difficult to organize on scene, but we have done our best that day. At the same time, in the crisis room of the SAMU, coordinating the ex-SAMU, there was also a lot of work. In this crisis room, we received a lot of calls in the first hour, about 400% of what we received at the same time. And this is important because when you have to open the crisis room, you need more people, but the people are on backup, they are not staying in the hospital and in the place we have the SAMU. So consequently, you have to make choice. About the choice we have made, that was clearly not to check that the people were aware to be called back. No time for that. They come or they don't come, never mind. The second point, it was only alerting operating rooms and asking them, we don't know if you are beds, we need operating rooms. And we'll see later what we do of the patient, to identify of the site, to check that the Camembert strategy was working, and to have all the backup we need from the region. And you have here the organization that it worked that day. You see the unit from the large crown, remote suburbs, they reinforce the small crown, the suburbs that are just nearby Paris, and all of them came progressively into Paris, covering the whole area. These are the team we have sent on scene. In each site, in the medical, we had a physician in charge, and that was the only person that was allowed to speak with the headquarters. Nobody speaking all the time on the radio, only this. We used the radio, and we were very proud of our radio system, which is extremely expensive, paid by the government, but not working that night. For a simple problem that has been clearly solved now, but that time we are in the middle of Bataclan, and the radio was not working like we want. So we use phone and cell phone, which were considered in the plan not to work, worked perfectly. All the night. So we use that was working. That was the message for that. We have also a few false alerts. That was difficult. As you see, we have used also the computing system of the SAMU, which is black and white, and sometimes green, work very well. We do that, and afterwards we put everything in the computer, but it's more simple to do that at that time, and we can produce then a lot of statistics. And this is, in the crisis room, the Camembert strategy. You see on this map where are the teams, where we have sent them, and what is the situation map in the evening, and it was evolutive indeed. The coordinator of the crisis room had a lot of work that night because he was in charge of communication with all the system in order to see what it represents. Every day in Paris we have one physician and two physicians and 4 assistants for the medical dispatching and the regulation. For that night, for the activity, everyday activity, we keep only half, 1 physician and 2 assistants, but we have up to 20 personnel that participate to this plan of the evening. This is the backup for helicopters. We have not used them. They were ready. They went to the Paris airport and we are ready to replace us if we become targets or if we are all out of team. But it was interesting to see that in less than an hour we can mobilize out half of the France possibility in terms of helicopters. A word about the patient hospitalized. We had about 360 victims hospitalized. The 2 important points is that we observe that the in-hospital mortality was less than 1.3% after 7 days, and it's still the same. And we have also no inter-hospital transfer during that night. That means the patient that went to hospital, they stayed to hospital. Sometimes it needs to be adapted. Not in trauma center like this. This is Pitié-Salpêtrière, the largest trauma center in Paris. They have received 53 victims, including 28 absolute emergency. But they have 10 operating rooms working together, and they had a lot of possibility in terms of backup. So no problem for them. But let's go back to Saint-Louis Hospital, which is not a trauma center. In Saint-Louis Hospital, they use the Y plan, the plan for the hospital that received a surge, mass casualties, and notice. And it says, take the patient to the recovery room, and then in the recovery room, you do your best in terms of hemostasis and so on. And you will receive backup. And they have received backup. The physician working in the hospital, they come back, and they have done trauma, even if they are not doing that every day, and they receive also thoracic surgeon and the possibility to deal with very severe emergency without transferring the patient. At the end of the night, the situation was really uncertain. So we came back to the SAMU at 4:30, and we discovered that we were under army control. the army has securized all the hospitals because they were afraid of an attack of the hospitals and the medical teams. And we resupplied the MICU, and the people we have kept in reserve were sent to take the duty tour, and the others, I sent them to bed because they were clearly exhausted. A word about psychological emergency. We have a system to manage victims of disaster with psychiatrists and psychologists. It has worked a lot that night. It has worked a lot the 2 weeks after. More than 5,000 consultations in 2 weeks for psychiatrists after this terrorist attack. Mobilization of my team, the people working with me, we had 70% of all the existing personnel, including the one in holidays and the way that were sleeping because they were on the duty the night before. That means 70% went back or called or spontaneously, and that's the possibility for us to have a lot of team. Indeed, there was an outstanding mobilization of the healthcare personnel, the EMTs, the MICU team, the hospitals. Thousands of rescuers have volunteered to go to the scene, even if it was considered to be dangerous. But as you know, the human toll was terrible, 130 dead and about 360 injured people that night. Psychological management of the team was not simple. We discovered the day after that one of the physicians working in the SAMU was killed that night. She was not on duty. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time in front of Hôpital Saint-Louis, where her and her boyfriend were working. Then, if we go back to that day, what we have done this evening was almost what we have prepared in the morning. At 9:30, before the terrorist attack, we have decided to organize a special exercise in order to test how time it will take to mobilize all the SAMU team of the region. And we have done that from 9:30 to 12 a.m. and at 9:30 p.m. it was not a drill, reality. So the scenario we have dealt with in the exercise was 13 different sites and 66 dead and 74 acute emergency. When I have written the scenario with my team, they told me, Pierre, you are always exaggerating. We have to do something that looks realistic. It's too much. I said, no, let's go. We'll do like that. In fact, we have done the double. So it was not so impossible. Few words of analysis, very quickly, in order to tell you only one message. First of all, the mobilization was okay. The on-site organization, we can improve it, but it was quite okay. Multi-site strategy works. Anticipation and reserve, keeping reserve all the night, that was a good idea, we done it. Inter-defense zone mobilization was possible also. Medical team on-scene protection has to be improved. The ambulance driver, stay away from the scene. We can walk. The security of victims exposed on scene. The possibility that other victims are taken into hostages and need care and cannot be extracted. The fact that the evacuation route were not always cleared and we need police to go with us in a hospital. And the communication tool, the computerized patient identification. All these things has been now quickly improved. But I can tell you that in such circumstances, anything can be absolutely perfect. But obviously all the personnel I have seen that night, I have been personally in 3 sites, they were deeply involved and they have done their best to do what they can give as care, as damage control care for the victims. There are several reports that have been published, and even extensive report in French. If you read French, I can give you a copy of that without any problem, it's free access. But there is, from this report, almost one major message. The message is that terrorist attack, you must expect surprise. You will never have the plan, the pure plan, adapt to the attacks you will be facing. But your plans, your training, will be the best toolbox to build the adapt strategy to the case you have that night or that day. Adaptability and leadership are the 2 keys you must use in these circumstances. In conclusion, I can tell you it was the most terrible terrorist attack ever in Paris since Second World War. It was probably a partial failure, obviously in Stade de France. There was also another site in the Paris of attack that was cancelled at the last minute, the terrorist getaway, and a major second attack the day after that was in the West region, in one of the largest shopping malls of Paris. And this was important for us to know that because our system were thinking, why there is nothing in the West? Why not in the West? In fact, it was the second attack that will be in the West. So this was for us the confirmation that we are in a kind of a hybrid war. That means what? That means that we have foreign military troops out Africa, Syria, but we have also, and that's important, an homeland front. And the homeland front is for civilian, us. Clearly, the fact that we can react quickly and efficiently under aggressive and very special action like that, it's important because the aim of the terrorism is fear, disorganization, and panic. And if we can oppose to that a very positive image of organization, of care, and we can broadcast this image to everybody, this also opposed to the possibility of answering to aggression by repression. We do something positive, and that was positive for the public. They say we want to help, we want to do something. And consequently, this is also the beginning of resilience. You see people in Paris and a few weeks ago in Brussels, they go, they sing, they put candles. That's not enough. They do also look at us and see that we are organized, that the ambulance are clearly styled and well organized, that also they can give their blood. And for days they were queuing in the Paris hospitals to give blood. Fresh blood is interesting for trauma patients. And also they went to that red things that was a training course for the Paris people in order not to be soft target, in order to protect ourselves if we are in the middle of a terrorist attack. That's also a step of resilience. Thank you for your attention.